Moldova is on the brink of chaos as pro-Russian forces push unrest, while world leaders demand Russia stop the war before talks begin. That's in our episode. Let's connect the dots and keep you in focus. Stay with us for the latest updates and exclusive reports. Tensions are rising in Moldova due to the actions of pro-Russian forces attempting to destabilize the country. The exiled oligarch Ilan Shor announced the payments of the $3,000 per month for participation in anti-government protests, sparkling a strong reaction from law enforcement and society. At the same time, the Kremlin continues to strengthen its influence over Moldova through political, informational and social operations aiming to derail the country's European integration and create a new anti-Ukrainian enclave on the border with Ukraine. Why the situation in Moldova causes particular concern in Kyiv and what challenges Chisinau faces in countering Russian influence in our report.
Fugitive pro-Russian oligarch Ilan Shor has offered Moldovan citizens $3,000 per month to participate in anti-government protests. This is not secret information. Shor himself announced it. According to him, he allegedly wants to compensate protesters for the time they cannot earn a salary.
I don't want to wait. I want to do this right tomorrow.
Moldova's police explained that Shor intends to involve citizens in illegal activities and warned against participating in paid protests. Shor is in hiding and seeks to shift responsibility for his illegal activities onto others, law enforcement noted.
The police warned that participating in protests for promised payments is a serious violation of the law. Citizens no longer wish to take part in the illegal actions of Shor's group, and therefore the criminal organization is promising large sums for protests and expressing opinions that do not belong to citizens. From a report by the Police of the Republic of Moldova on Facebook,
the pro-Russian political coalition Victory, led by Ilan Shor, was barred from participating in Moldova's parliamentary elections scheduled for late September. The Central Electoral Commission cited not only gross legal violations related to financing and reporting, but also the direct involvement of the fugitive oligarch, leader of the Shor Party, which Moldova's Constitutional Court declared unconstitutional in 2023. Deprived of a legitimate tool to vie for power, the Kremlin's agent is resorting to tactics of direct street pressure.
Attacks against Moldova, political, informational, are reaching a new level. They are becoming much harsher, more aggressive. Aggressive not just in the conventional sense, though that's present too, but aggressive in terms of marketing. That is, no resources or funds are spared. Everything is thrown at achieving the goal.
The claim that Russia is waging a hybrid war against Moldova is no exaggeration, experts say. Moscow conducts influence operations, flooding Moldova's online space with manipulative content. The Kremlin also seeks to demotivate Moldova's traditionally pro-European diaspora, resorting to any available methods, from bribing voters and intimidating judges to promoting separatist views.
Provocations along the line of inter-church conflict have intensified as the Moscow-aligned Metropolitanate remains the dominant one and is now being pitted against the Bessarabian Metropolitanate, leading to conflicts and battles over churches. Journalistic investigations show that Shor's people are directly behind this. Additionally, it's assumed that criminal structures will become more active this fall. Videos are circulating online suggesting that criminal bosses in Moscow have been instructed to incite riots in prisons and mobilize communities outside, and we know the criminal world in Moldova still answers to Russian crime leaders.
By destabilizing Moldova, Russia pursues two goals. First, it seeks to keep the country within its sphere of influence and derail its European integration. Second, it aims to create an anti-Ukrainian enclave on Ukraine's border.
The situation in Moldova cannot but cause concern for Ukraine, as it involves not only political risks, but also security risks. Let me remind you that a significant portion of aid to Ukraine passes through Moldova. The emergence of a hostile regime in Moldova would create substantial cascading risks related to European integration, as we are currently moving toward EU membership together. It would also lead to new lines of confrontation and border blockades.
Experts believe that Chisinau should strengthen control over the financing of political activities and media in the country. Additionally, it should focus on counter-propaganda to expose Russian disinformation. Reported by Valeria Nekipolova, Ruslan Belozerov, UATV News.
There is a unanimous assessment of the situation and what can be achieved in negotiations with Putin. This is how German Chancellor Friedrich Merz commented on the outcome of the online summit of US and European leaders. Ukraine must be part of the negotiations, but first Russia must be forced to cease hostilities. This is the firm stance of European heads of state. Natalia Husak will tell us about the key points discussed at the meeting.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz outlined 5 key points that European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky discussed with the head of the White House ahead of his meeting with the Kremlin dictator.
We have made it clear that Ukraine must be present at the negotiating table as soon as the subsequent meetings take place. We want the negotiations to proceed in the right order. First, a ceasefire must be reached. Then, the main elements in a framework agreement must be agreed upon. Thirdly and finally, Ukraine is ready to negotiate territorial issues. However, the starting point must be the so-called contact line. Legal recognition of the Russian occupation is non-negotiable. The principle of inadmissibility of changing borders by force must continue to apply.
The fourth principle that Europe insists on is reliable security guarantees for Ukraine. The fifth is that negotiations should be part of a common transatlantic strategy. Russia should not have the right to veto Ukraine's accession to the EU and NATO, emphasized German Chancellor Friedrich Merz.
I think first of all it must be said that this is a significant success of German diplomacy. To gather these people, to invite Zelensky, to get Trump to participate in this meeting, to get Trump, as we understand, to listen, and ultimately to discuss this in a broader circle with other partners.
The day after the online summit, European Commission spokesperson Ariana Podesta stated that the European Union welcomes the statement made by the President of the United States during the meeting with European leaders that the US will join in providing security guarantees for Ukraine after peace is established.
For me, the most important thing is for Europe to convince Donald Trump that Russia cannot be trusted, and that the only way out, and President Zelensky said this, and I emphasized this very clearly during both meetings, is to force Russia to an honest peace.
During the discussion, an agreement was reached that a fair and lasting peace is impossible without a ceasefire, continued support for Ukraine, maintaining collective pressure on Russia, including thorough sanctions, as well as reliable security guarantees enshrined in the Euro-Atlantic context, said Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. During the talks between the leaders of the United States and Europe, President Donald Trump made it clear that the United States wants to achieve Russia's agreement to a ceasefire, said the President of France. And any discussions of territorial issues are possible only with the participation of Ukraine, Emmanuel Macron emphasized.
An important point that was made very clear by President Trump is that territorial issues related to Ukraine can and will be decided only by the Ukrainian president. The issue of the occupied territories will be a key element of the peace talks. It is inseparable from the peace guarantees provided to the rest of Ukraine and Europe, and therefore cannot be discussed without the presence at the negotiating table of the President of Ukraine.
Only tough pressure can force Russia to agree to a ceasefire. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna is convinced. After all, instead of seeking peace, Russia continues massive shelling of Ukrainian cities.
The first thing is
Putin does not agree to a ceasefire without negotiations. The Europeans want a ceasefire first, and then negotiations. That is the main difference between the two sides at the moment, and perhaps tomorrow's meeting will be a kind of golden bridge for us between these two positions. But there must be at least something that Mr. Trump can bring with him to Washington, and that could be a ceasefire.
Regardless of the results of the Alaska summit, partners will continue military support for Ukraine, the leaders of the European states said. The new Pearl Initiative, the list of priority needs of Ukraine, is already yielding tangible results, said Volodymyr Zelensky. This mechanism allows European partners to finance the supply of American weapons to Kyiv. The Pearl Initiative has already raised $1.5 billion. The Netherlands was the first to contribute, later Denmark, Norway, Sweden and Germany. At a meeting with the head of the British government, Keir Starmer, Volodymyr Zelensky invited London to join the initiative. Reported by Natalia Gusak, Volodymyr Shtengelov, UATV News.
What's your take on all of this? Share your thoughts below. This is UATV. Stay sharp, in focus, and stay safe.